Hello guys, and welcome to another weekly vlog. It is Tuesday, and I'm going where I'm usually going on a Tuesday. I think, is it the 12th today? Yesterday was the, no, oh Jesus, yesterday was 12th, it's 13th I think. I'm just trying to, next Monday's the 19th when it's the Queen's funeral, so I know that date in my mind because everywhere's closing. It's the day I had my hairdressing appointment and they're closing, and you have to wait like 10 weeks to get these appointments. Thankfully they fitted me in on the Friday of the same week, so I don't have to wait too much longer. Yeah, going to my mum's. I have to stop off at Tesco to get her some groceries before I call. Usually the groceries would be delivered on a Tuesday morning, but Big Head here forgot to go on and book the groceries until Monday night, Monday evening, what was it, about 6 o'clock. And when I went on, the slots for the morning had all gone, and the earliest slot they had was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the stuff wasn't delivered in time for me to take it into my mum, meaning even though I get my own groceries delivered to mean I don't have to go into Tesco. I have to go into Tesco today and get my mum's groceries. So that's what I'm doing now. I've got a card to post for Kath. Kath is Darren's father's wife, her birthday. So I'll get that off today. And I can't think of anything else. The Queen is in Jesus, if you heard me, the Queen is in Northern Ireland today. Prince Charles and Camilla. Oh God, again, have you heard me? King Charles and Camilla, Queen Consort. We'll get the wording right, guys. Is in Northern Ireland today, and to be quite honest, I'm really hacked off with how the media are publicising it. They keep talking about the 70s and violence and Lord Mountbatten, and yes, these things happened, but it's not what we're talking about. And they keep going on about how half of the people here don't support the monarchy and all that stuff. Half of the people in England, Scotland and Wales don't support the monarchy. It doesn't mean you can't pay some, like, you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of people I know that do not agree with the idea of having a monarchy, with the cost, and with there's roadworks here, Jesus Christ, and with the state of the country. A lot of people, a lot of younger people especially, don't agree with the monarchy. I've never believed in having a monarchy, but I don't dislike any member of the royal family. I do think the Queen did a fabulous job. There's no vitriol or horrible comments coming from here, but I just hate the fact that they're doing nothing but talk about people here not wanting it, and it's like, that's the feeling in the entire UK, and it's not because we're from Ireland. It's just, you know, it's not, oh. And they refer to Sinn Féin, who are a political party here. They refer to them using violence. They're basically getting Sinn Féin confused with the IRA now. Oh, they've moved the bloody postbox. So they're basically saying, oh, Sinn Féin, who are now the biggest political party in Northern Ireland, have seen that a move away from violence has paid dividends. No, mate, I think you'll find that's the IRA. Because a couple of senior Sinn Féin politicians had links to the IRA many years ago, but they weren't in the IRA, although people try to say they were. Every single political organisation over here, DUP, who's the big one that Paisley was in, that was in the coalition with the Conservatives, they had links to the Ulster Volunteer Force, the Ulster Defence, loads of like Protestant paramilitary parties, but we won't talk about that. We'll just constantly talk about the IRA and Sinn Féin. Oh, they're just trying to make us out to be bloody barbarians or something. Right, I'm going to go post this, I'll be back. Yeah, so that's that card away. It's wonderful how, when Kelly, if you're watching, you'll relate, I'm sure. It's wonderful how Kermit's Ghost is one of the exceptions to this, if he's watching. Alan, a woman has to remember her partner's family's birthdays and get the card and send the card because they don't remember, and then in my case, then the family think it's me, you know, oh yeah, it's all, she just can't be bothered, blah blah blah. It's like, how's about the lads start to remember their family's birthdays and buy them cards and presents, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, so the coverage is a bit irritating. I just wish they would do what they've done everywhere else and keep it to the discussion about the Queen and her work, and that, you know, it doesn't need to go into the political history of Northern Ireland and dredge all that up again and try and make out that we're somehow against the Queen. That, you know, that's not the case. Just because you don't agree with the notion of a monarchy does not mean, you know, you don't think the Queen did a really good job. And like I say, I know every Scottish person I know, without exception, doesn't agree with the monarchy. But there was no discussion about that when they went to visit Scotland. And I know plenty of English people that are either, well, they don't really care, to be honest, and who vehemently think there shouldn't be a monarchy. But they didn't do that in England, so why do they have to do it here? I just don't get it. You know, in a country with such a difficult past, constantly dredging up stuff is not helpful, and I don't see how it's particularly relevant when we're supposed to be celebrating someone's life and welcoming someone else into a role. But anyway, and then they said, yes, everybody that's come into Hillsborough Castle and even the people that have lined the roads behind the safety barrier have all had to undergo airport security checks. And this would have been, you know, this would never have happened years ago. The Queen, the first time she came to Northern Ireland, she had to fly via helicopter into Hillsborough Castle because royals couldn't drive via the road for fear that they would be blown up. And it's like, oh my God. So again, you know, the rest of the world seeing this footage and people here are being made out to be terrorists and barbarians and anti-royals. It's like, oh Christ. One thing I will say, and you probably, you know, well, you maybe don't care about politics. When Darren moved here, now, when I met Darren, he was the least political minded person in the world, and these days he does nothing but talk about politics, and it does my head in, because believe it or not, I'm not a political minded person. I have opinions like everybody does on particular things, but I don't talk about it all the time. Darren's Facebook, Jesus Christ, the only thing he ever talks about is people that's broken the law in politics, Tory bashing, and it's like, oh, give it a rest. The fact that every single post is like tumbleweed should tell you something. I even encouraged him to join Twitter so that he would take it over there and leave it off Facebook for all my friends and family to see, but no. Anyway, when he moved here, I think he had an opinion of what he thought the political environment and stuff was like. And when he's lived here now, he's lived here, I think, about 10 years now. Same length of time I was in England, he's been here. He realises that most of the stuff that goes on here doesn't make mainstream media. People in mainland UK don't hear about half the stuff that goes on one side of the argument. They hear a lot of really anti-nationalist, Irish. The only like, I'll challenge you guys, if you're watching on mainland UK, unless you have a big interest in UK or Northern Ireland politics, the only terrorist organisation that anyone is aware of is the IRA. Obviously, they're a big one. But here there are about 4 different, on the other side, terrorist organisations that blew up, shot, killed many, many, many innocent people and continue to use violence to this day. But people in the UK don't know who they are. They're like, who? What? Because it's never publicised, it's never talked about. We just hear about anything on one side of the equation. And some of the stuff that the DUP, Democratic Unionist Party, the biggest unionist party in Northern Ireland, who at the moment won't go to work because of the backstop protocol to do with Brexit. It's a whole mess that they wanted, and now they've got it, they don't want it. There's that flags at half-mast. Should have filmed that. But some of the stuff they've done over the years, and they've really, really openly and clearly broken the law in politics. They've cost the country billions. And Darren has said, oh, but this can't go. This can't go. She's going to get time for this. They've broken the law. They've lied to the, they've cost the country billions. They've done something that they know is dishonest. That's been underhand. It's like, right, I says, you watch, nothing will happen. It will all blow over. All blow over. Darren was absolutely, no way, this won't happen. Because I've said to him, anything that the DUP want to do, regardless of how unfair, illegal, ridiculous it is, they will get away with. There's my air fresheners. And indeed they did, and continue to do so. But let's just talk about Sinn Féin because of what happened in the 70s. You know, it's frustrating. I don't agree with anybody using violence to solve anything. I abhor the IRA. And any time when I would like say, yeah, but what about these guys? People would call me an IRA people. Some people in Darren's family, let's say that. What's really funny is Darren's brother is married also to a girl from Northern Ireland, but he's married to a girl from the opposite. I'm Catholic, she's Protestant, just to be blunt. But she is from a place in Northern Ireland called the Shankill. Now there are two very, very, very famous roads in Northern Ireland called the Shankill and the Falls. The Shankill is very deeply unionist and the Falls is very deeply nationalist. You wouldn't go up the Falls in a Rangers shirt and you wouldn't go up the Shankill in a Celtic shirt, let's put it that way. But she has put all these ideas in Darren's brother's head, he's not the brightest. And if you say anything against any Protestant political organisation, unionist organisation, they call you an IRA supporter. I mean, there was a rumour that used to go around that Blockbuster funded the IRA because in Northern Ireland most businesses close on the 12th of July, which is marching season for the unionists. Something I disagree with vehemently as well, but we'll not go there. Extravision, where I worked, where I managed as a video store, it was eventually bought over by Blockbuster, but they were under the same umbrella. They wouldn't let us close on the 12th of July, and because we were open on the 12th of July, people took from that we were anti the Orange Order, anti-unionists, and we were funding the IRA. Now this is the kind of thing that Darren's brother and his wife seem to believe, and he would constantly go on Facebook posting really nasty things. Oh, the Catholics are doing this. And Darren would say to him, you can't write that. Lisa's Catholic, Isaac's, half Catholic. You can't write that. Oh. So eventually I removed the two of them, and they're just so nasty and vitriolic about it all. I have loads of opinions on the contrary side, but there's no way I'd be sitting spewing it on Facebook. So that's one it's that kind of thing. It's like there's so much division and hatred between two sides of the community, and when you sit and keep dredging up stuff that happened hundreds of years ago, which basically is what the 12th of July is, it's a celebration of a Protestant king beating a Catholic king. That's all it is. So the Protestants here every year for about 3 months celebrate it by marching all over the place and making massive bonfires and burning tricolours and burning pictures of the Pope and anything Catholic they will, they set fire to. They come home from England, they live in England. Darren's brother and his wife come home to Northern Ireland every year to be part of this. So, yeah. My viewpoint on how things are reported to the mainstream UK press is less than glowing, shall we say. And Darren is quite, how can we put it? I won't even say he's proud to be English. He's proud. He more so identifies as being a Yorkshireman, as being from Yorkshire, but he's very much for tradition and the fact he's English and you should be allowed to be English in England and all that sort of palaver. And even he was really shocked when he came here, when he saw how one-sided the media were and how little they actually tell from the other side of the coin. He was shocked. So yeah, I've talked too long about it. It just really irritates at me how much they're concentrating on politics from 50 years ago that is irrelevant to the visit of Charles and Camilla. You know what I mean? Anyway, I've prattled for too long. I am on my way to Tesco. I flipping hate shopping. I can't even tell you guys how much Apologies for the noise. I'm on a faster road, so this car is quite noisy. I don't know why, but it is. When you like drive off in it, it sounds like a diesel. It isn't. Right, I shall go and stop prattling, guys. I'll catch up with you later in the week. Don't think there's nothing really happening this week, but I'll check in with you later in the week. Quiet at disco today. Let's see how long it takes me to. What's he doing wandering about?
Look at the size of that. Well, it's bigger than you girls, that. Come over that fence. You will. Yep. Oh yeah, bossy you too. Yes, yeah.
Okay, I had no intention of videoing myself with this on my head after washing my hair. Can you hear Darren shouting upstairs? He's on the phone to the electricity board. Our old address, the person that lives there is still using Darren's name and telephone number. And he got a message yesterday to say he would be getting a fine for tampering with his electric box. Obviously, we haven't. He phoned up and got to the bottom of it yesterday. It's them. The name wasn't changed over, even though we informed them that we were moving out. And he's phoning back today because they were meant to call and confirm that the name had been taken off. So he's on the phone to phone back, and all I can hear is a mass of shouting. He said, "You're doing it again 3 times. Can you please stop this barrage of pathetic retorts?" I don't know exactly how we're going to get a resolution to this when he's doing that. I'm sure it's a hobby. He was on the phone yesterday giving off to BT about a price rise that we weren't informed of in advance. I'm sure it's his new hobby, arguing with people. I thought I'd give you an insight into my evenings after tea. We've got a bit of Spotify going on. We're having some Cyrano. Alexa's good for something. I got my controller, got my blanket, got my cushion, got my dog under my cushion, got my Assassin's Creed. Happy days. Friday evening, Scout's time. We're a little bit early in the car, which is why I've switched this on now, just to do a catch up. Just going up for Robert and Kayla.
Sorry, I had a snort of derision then. I should have held that back, shouldn't I?
This is somebody that's supposed to have been sharing, taking the kids to Scouts, and I've taken them every night since they started. Isaac's still enjoying school. He says he enjoys it more than secondary or primary school, but me and Darren are getting ever more frustrated every day. Now they do this thing where every class, every subject that you have must have either Google Classroom code or a thing called Microsoft Teams, which is like Google Classroom but on a different platform. You would think they would put every subject on the one platform, and that would, you know what I mean, rather than 2 separate things. And they give them codes in class which are like 5, well it says on the thing 5 or 6 digit codes, but this one was a 7. And it's a mix of letters and numbers, you can never guess it. And I think Isaac's written down the correct code once. And then the other times he's written down codes, he's written them in books and hasn't told us, and I'm sitting saying, where's the codes that all these other kids have got? And I don't know. We haven't been given them. I took every single file that he's ever been given in school out and found 3 separate codes.
Is it a 9 or a 4? Is it a P or a Q? Is
Everything
it a Z or a 2?
Everything
is it
that's
a 5
written
or an S?
isn't clear. I've said, Isaac, you need more attention to detail, you need to pay attention, this is really important. If you're not sure, ask. Get someone to repeat it to you. Came home again today with one completely wrong, completely unable to read, and he's shaking his head.
And a digit missing.
He left a digit off the end of it. He couldn't work out himself whether he'd done a Z, a 2, whether he had done a 9 or a Q. Isaac, you can shake your head all you want.
I nodded.
Or a 5 or
Isaac,
an S.
it was actually wrong what you said. What you said was wrong, and you had left a digit off the end.
I know.
So I sat, so don't know what you're shaking his head about. I sat and probably about 30 different variations of what the digits looked like on both platforms, because Isaac again swore it was Google Classroom. I says, are you sure, Isaac? Because yesterday he came home with a code in it. He had written Google Classroom code. Actually, Google Classroom code. Then the code wouldn't work. I said to one of the other mums, I'm sure she's sick of the sound of me, this isn't working. What have you got? Oh, it's not Google Classroom, it's Microsoft Teams. He'd written Google Classroom code beside it. Today he argued, it's definitely Google Classroom code. It wasn't. It was a Microsoft Team code.
And 4 out of the 6 letters.
4 out of the 6 letters you couldn't read.
He didn't know what they were. I don't know.
My frustration is bubbling. And Isaac just gives you a mouthful of cheek and doesn't understand why we're getting frustrated. Like, it is a big learning curve from primary to secondary, but writing down a 5 or 6 letter number isn't difficult.
He's jumped back 2 years.
Unfortunately, Isaac's a follower. If he sits beside someone that's not making effort, he does exactly the same. All is what's going on.
Middle seat in the back, is it?
I don't know. It's something else because it's making a different noise. Headlights are off.
No, it's not. It's a
Still light.
seatbelt.
It says headlights are off.
It's flashing there. It's a seatbelt. Isaac, just pull the
Stop
cover
for it.
slightly away from it.
Well, I'm fastening seatbelt.
Somebody came to a bloody stop in the road and now they've just put their hazards on. It's like, well, don't come to a stop and sit there, have me thinking what you're doing, and then is that Oscar? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fight century.
Nothing my way.
So, as I say, and then Isaac raises his voice and thinks he's being cheeky, so we've entered that phase. What he was raising his voice about was the fact that he can read his own writing. He does know what it says, and he's sure it's Google Classroom. It wasn't what he'd written, and he'd left a digit off, and it wasn't Google Classroom. And he wonders why I'm getting bloody frustrated. It takes me back. I went to the same school, and not once did my parents ever open one of my books to look and see anything in it to help me with my homework. They didn't know what I was doing from Adam, and I had to go. But I feel like tearing my flipping hair out. Right, we're now at Robert's house because their dad has hurt his back and he wants to have a lie down. He hasn't given them a lift one day since they started Scouts almost a year ago. I've done it every week. We showed up for them last week and Robert didn't go because he had nothing to wear. Right, I'm going to switch this off because he's coming. Hello, it's me again. It is Saturday evening. I'll probably close the vlog off tomorrow, or should I today? I may today. Tomorrow we'll just be going into my mum's. I don't know if they'll be. Oh, there's a little tiny baby. I think we call them slaters. Wood lice on the wall. It's a baby one. They're quite cute. I do think they're cute. Yes, sorry, I keep looking that side, but that's not where the camera is. A little update. I don't know how much I've told you previously about Robert that's friends with Isaac. I think the last time I recorded we were calling up for them for Scouts. The last time his sister, I took her into Scouts, she spent the whole journey telling Isaac why her school was better than his. Then Robert got in last night and proceeded to do exactly the same the whole way in. Might add, Isaac's at a grammar school and they're at a secondary school that still had places left that you didn't need to sit an exam to get into. So anyway, they did this, I turned a blind eye. On the way home, I can't even, there's some sort of thing called Amore. Isaac said it's called Amore. It's some sort of like anime. And Robert really likes it and Isaac's not fussed. Robert, no word of a lie, repeated about 12 times to Isaac in the back seat, really loud because we're driving. Do you have money? No. Yes. Buy a more? No. Do you have a job? Isaac says no. Do you have money? Yes. Buy a more. And he kept saying this, do you have a job? Do you have money? Buy a more. Do you not have a job? Do you not have money? And Isaac's answering the questions every time, and it went on for easily 15 minutes. And he kept at it and at it and at it, and then he kept shouting, it's a joke, Isaac, it's a joke, it's a joke. Do you not get a joke? Really condescending. I'm thinking, Isaac, how are you tolerating this? And I'm sitting out, there was one sentence on my lips and Isaac said it. But it's a joke. Do you not get a joke, Isaac? Do you not understand a joke? It's a joke. It wasn't a joke. He just kept telling him to buy this shit that he likes. And Isaac said, but a joke's funny. And I thought, good boy. Well done, son. And then Robert started raising his voice and getting extremely obnoxious. And he said Isaac was bullying him because Isaac didn't laugh at what he was saying. And I thought, right, bite your tongue, Lisa, bite your tongue, Lisa. And then, in a really, condescending, pedantic tone, he said to Isaac, Isaac, now you have to understand, I'm giving them a lift to Scouts and back. He is in Isaac's parents' car, with Isaac's parents. Isaac, what you have to understand is that not everyone likes the same things. Not everyone likes the same thing. And my brain's thinking, you're the one trying to get him to like this thing that you like, that he's not interested in. And I lost my rag. And I gave off for the first time. I said, Robert, I'm not having that. What? I says, you've just accused him of bullying you, and you're going on at him, and as I'm halfway through the sentence, what I was trying to say was, you are having a go at Isaac about something that you're actually doing, not him. You're the one trying to force your opinions down someone else's throat for the past 15 minutes and then saying it was a joke. And he wouldn't let me speak. He raised his voice. But no, I wasn't. I was doing it, and he just really rude, really cheeky, which he also did on the way into Darren when he pulled the seatbelt out too quickly. It wouldn't button. And we were trying to explain to him, you need to pull it slowly. Kept arguing it was a faulty seatbelt, which it obviously isn't. But, I mean, several times he stormed off out of the house on Isaac because he hasn't got his own way, and Isaac ridiculously has run after him. Last time he did it, I said to Isaac, if he does it again, let him go. So he did it again. Isaac let him go. And he came back, and Darren was stood at the door. Oh, are you back? Yeah, well, I had nothing better to do. So I've had enough of this lad, and I've tolerated it for months because he was being really badly bullied in primary school. Turns out he's been in his new school, which is obviously much superior to the school Isaac's in, and he's been bullied there too. The school actually contacted his mother about it. Isaac's friend Ruben, who he went to primary school with, was almost choked to unconsciousness this past week. But it's a better school. Some girl was pushed down a set of concrete stairs and really hurt herself, but it's a better school. And this lad has been so rude and so obnoxious. What it was the condescending way that he was talking to Isaac, and he was shouting, Isaac, what you have to understand is... And I'm thinking, Robert, you're the one forcing your views on Isaac. He's not doing that on you. He's been nothing but patient, so I lost my rag. And then he tried to shout, which made me lose my rag even more. And I says, look, I've had to listen to the whole way in about why St Killian's is better than St Louis. And now for the whole way out, I've had to listen to you tell the same joke 80 times, and then you've accused him of bullying because he hasn't laughed at it. I says, no, I'm not having it. I'm not having you speak to Isaac that way. It's not on. You're not doing it. He went in home crying. Isaac said you can clearly see that he's never been told off in his life because he was completely and utterly flummoxed. Darren says, I daren't open my mouth because I dread to think what I would have said. So they let me talk. And the whole way, the rest of the way home on the drive, nobody's uttered a word. And then apparently went in crying to his mum about me shouting at him. Now, fair enough, his mum has apologised and says he shouldn't be doing that. Oh, but he's not very good with social cues. And I think he uses the word bullying a bit too lightly. Like if his sisters eat the last piece of garlic bread, he says that they're bullying him. And I'm thinking, and you can't really do it in a WhatsApp message. I'm thinking, no, it's the condescending tone. It's the fact that he's disrespectful to me and Darren and raises his voice at us. There's just a list, and I've never told her any of it because I would literally be going to her every day. Well, today Robert did this, but I said to her on the text, oh, it's not like him, she said. I don't know what he's doing, but he's having trouble in school, which is why I've let it slide before. And I thought, no, the reason this lad's having so much trouble is because he's got such a condescending, high and mighty attitude with other kids that they don't like him. That's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. He talks down to people. He acts superior to everyone. He's rude. He never wants to do anything that another child wants to do. He forces people to do what he wants to do. And other kids just go, you. And this is what keeps happening. And his mum, I just feel like she's taking the piss out of me, because since Isaac started Scouts to try and make friends somewhere outside of school, when he was having a hard time with bullying, I tried to be proactive about it. Then Robert had to go and he latched onto Isaac and he won't leave him alone. And other kids don't like Robert. The leaders of the Scouts don't even like the lad. It sounds awful, but this lad's horrible. And he won't leave Isaac alone. Even jiu-jitsu, he started going to that and wouldn't do any of the moves, so Isaac was left stood there. You know, nobody to learn with. And his mum and dad just won't deal with it. They will not basically fill him in on the fact that he needs to change his attitude with people. But she was making 101 excuses. Oh, but he's not good with social cues. What, shouting at someone else's parents in a car? Raising your voice at someone's dad that's not your own? That's nothing to do with social cues. But it's not like him, she said. And then I thought, I can't. I says, look, this has been an issue for quite a while. I haven't said it. I said I turned a blind eye because I knew he was having issues at school, so I turned a blind eye to it. I said, but this isn't, you know, the only time. And I just gave her one example. I said he has stormed out of our house on numerous occasions and come back because he said he'd nothing better to do. Oh, well, no, that's not on. She says he shouldn't be doing that and coming back so rudely. But the things I've told her, she's like making excuses for. But I literally could sit and fill out a file page of things that he's done and said. Calling Isaac boring because Isaac didn't want to go on rides when we went to the beach that time because he knew they were so expensive. He didn't want me to spend the money. The rides were like $3.50 each, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're paying £7 per ride for 2 children to go on 5 or 6 rides, and he kicked off about that and kept asking me over and over again, and then said to Isaac, oh, you're just boring. And he shouted in the back of the car last night, Isaac, you're so annoying. And I'm thinking, look at him, Emerson. But it's like, I'm thinking, did I do the wrong thing? I've shouted at someone else's kid. But I've just taken it for so long, and I've let it slide for so long. The lad is the most obnoxious child I've ever encountered. And his parents are doing him no favours by making out that everybody else in the world is at fault apart from him. I mean, what kid goes from primary school, where he's bullied, to secondary school and he's being bullied within a week of starting school? I mean, why is she not sitting him down and saying, look, Robert, you have to understand that other people... You know that speech she gave to Isaac? Isaac, what you have to understand is people like different things. I guarantee he's had that speech from his mum because he wants everybody to like everything he does. And now what it feels like is he's being bullied everywhere else in life and Isaac's his only friend. So he feels it's the only person he can be, superior with, or the only person that he can vent on. And I've had it. I've had him venting on my son. The awkward thing is his mum is one of my mum's carers, and quite often when I'm there she'll call in, so it's really awkward. Last night I was saying, and I had to switch off because they got into the car. She sent me a text to ask if I could take them. I've taken them every night since they started. She's not taken them once. She hasn't taken her own children or offered to bring Isaac, not once. Oh, do you mind taking them? Benny's hurt his back. That's their dad. Benny's hurt his back and he wants to have a lie down. This morning, Isaac was at jiu-jitsu in town. Benny, the father, was in the class teaching a jiu-jitsu class with all the weapons and stuff, doing jiu-jitsu when he couldn't drive his kids to Scouts last night because he had a bad back. And they both drove down to Dublin today to go see Garth Brooks. So that's a bad back, folks. And someone's asking me, I'm sorry, woe is me, I know, but me that hurts all the time, I'm always sore. Can you take my children to Scouts? Benny wants to lie down because he's got a sore back. And then he's at jiu-jitsu the next morning and driving to Dublin for a concert. If she wasn't who she was, I think I'd have had to say, look, this relationship isn't a two-way thing. And I'm just fed up with having the piss. It's because I don't work and she does. She thinks that I should pick up all this. I should childmind him. I should taxi service him. Not just him, her. When he doesn't go to Scouts, I still have to bring the sister. And I'm fed up with it. I don't want to anymore. But what can I know come next? But she's still acting like nothing's wrong. She did apologise for Robert's behaviour, but at the same time, she made loads of excuses for him. And then she said, oh, Kayla said that she thought you were just having a bit of banter. That was the thing about the schools. And I says, it's not the thing about the schools. I said, it's the way Robert was speaking to Isaac and the fact they called him a bully. I says, I'm not having that word bandied about. And I said, it's been an issue for a while. So really she needs a good sit down to be told what he's doing and saying. Another one that really irked me was, I don't allow Isaac to swear in the house or around me. Now you maybe think that's hypocritical, but I don't swear in front of my parents. I never would. I don't swear in company I'm respectful of. I'm careful about that. Robert's always made a big issue and belittled Isaac because I don't allow him to swear. Well, you're in my house. No, we're allowed to swear, so don't worry, Isaac, you can swear here. And his mum told me that he's not allowed to swear. But she doesn't know he said that either. It's little things like that, or when I'm telling Isaac, if you're on TikTok, do not add people you don't know. Do not converse with people you don't know. Oh, well, I do. I follow people and then they follow me back and it gets me more followers. I says, Robert, Isaac's not allowed to do this. This is the rules with using these sites. This is what I've told. And he'll argue with me. If I tell Isaac off for something that he's done wrong, he will argue with me about why Isaac's not in the wrong. And I'm like, what am I meant to do? Honestly, anybody that's a parent that's gone through this, like that have older kids, what the hell do you do when a child is being that? And he does have some form of, he's not autistic, but there's some form of ignorance to knowing when you're being a prick, basically. But does that mean you're going to shout at some? When he first started coming to our house, he was really polite and really respectful. But once he'd been coming a couple of months, it completely changed. And now he raises his voice at us. I won't allow Isaac to talk to me like that, and he's my son. I'm certainly not allowing someone else's kid to speak to me like that. So I don't know. I don't know what you think, guys. What do you think? I haven't told you the half of stuff he's done and said, but I will not allow a child to be condescending and mean to my child, especially not under my nose when I'm giving him a lift somewhere. He just seems to permanently be having a go at Isaac, constantly. Every time he's here, he's doing it. And what am I supposed to say to his mum? She'll be like, oh, he doesn't understand. He's really sorry that he's upset you. She talks out her arse. She lies about these things. Like she said, Robert was really pleased that Isaac passed his exam and got into St. Louis. He said he'd worked really hard and he was really pleased for him. And I thought when she told me, that's not like something Robert would say. The very first instant we met Robert, after the exam results came out, he told him how annoyed he was that he wasn't going to his school. Well, why do you have to go to that school? Why can you not go to this one? And it's like, well, that sounds like someone that's pleased, doesn't it? But I don't know what to do, guys, because, hang on, this Friday, they'll be expecting a lift again. And I know she's going to make him apologise. But I know that apology is not going to mean anything. And I know that the only reason they'll be making it is so that they still maintain their taxi service. But on the other hand, I can't say, look, I don't want to give your kids a lift anymore, because she'll think it's horrible that I can't forgive a kid when they've apologised. And she'll think, well, you're going that way anyway, why can't you? But I just feel like, you know, their dad sat at home on his arse doing nothing. Can he not offer to take them one Friday night and let me have a night off? No, obviously not. So yeah, I'm in a quandary, folks. I don't know what to do. The long and short of it is I don't want to be giving him a lift to Scouts because I just don't. I'm just fed up with it, really fed up with it. But do I have to turn a blind eye to it, or do I just see if it happens again? And if it happens again, then say, right, I think that's enough. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Let me know. I may film some tomorrow. If I don't, I'll put this bit at the end just in case. Thank you for watching this week's weekly vlog and listening to me moan. Advice welcome. And I shall catch up with you guys next week on another weekly vlog. Over a night from Kit and Caboodle.